Now Warren Morris hits a deep drive down the right field line. That ball is gone! LSU wins the College World Series on a home run by Morris.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to OTB. We are kicked off the hour, sliding in series with Coach Drina. Now it's time to slide into this weekend series with Coach Paul Mainieri. Coming off the big win last night over there at UL, 11-2. The Tigers get it done. Get it done on the mound with some young arms. Get it done at the plate as well. Coach Mainieri, what's going on?
I'm good. How you guys doing? Late night, early morning, ready to go.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for waking up with us. I thank you for dealing with everything you have to deal with this football season. I saw the after the game Zoom where it looked like maybe the original shot was just of your hat. And then they managed to get your full face into the frame. It's a weird year. It's a weird year. But you know what, Coach? It's been a pretty damn good year for the squad through this first weekend. What are your biggest takeaways now that we're 4 games into this thing?
Well, first of all, that Zoom was hilarious because we were standing in right field. Bill Franquez was holding a computer up in front of me. We couldn't get a signal. So we had to go outside the stadium. So I was out by the bus, and now he was holding up the thing, and then the reporters were saying all they could see was my hat. So I'm like, Bill, back up a little bit. It's a three-ring circus, this pandemic sometimes, yes. I'm telling you.
Well, look, I know as a member of the media, the effort that you went through to make that happen, that is awesome, man. So yeah. Thank you absolutely for that. And yeah, again, like what do you think of the first 4?
Well, obviously it was disappointing to lose the game to the Air Force Academy, but I will say this, that even though we lost to those guys, the pitching that we faced that day was really shocking to me. I know when I coached at the Air Force Academy, I never had 3 arms like they threw against us. Their starting pitcher was an A.J. Labus caliber type pitcher, 88 to 90 with 3-pitch mix. They brought in a middle reliever throwing 93 with really good life. And then they brought in a closer throwing 97, 98 miles an hour. There's no way that 6'6" kid was ever going to fit in a cockpit. I don't know how they could have gotten him out there to the Air Force Academy. But, I told our team after the game, tonight when you go to bed, and you say your prayers, thank God that we have kids like those cadets over there at the Air Force Academy. They're going to be the custodians of our way of life, because the way that they competed against us today on the field is the way that they fight for us so that we can live the life that we have here. And it's no shame to lose to them. When I was the coach there for 6 years, believe me, we had our major victories like they had against us. I remember once we played Texas Tech. Texas Tech was 15-0 to start the season, ranked 6th in the country, and we went to Lubbock, Texas, and beat them. And one year we beat Hawaii 3 out of 4 when they were ranked number 8 in the country. So it's not unusual. Air Force beat Notre Dame in football 4 straight years. Those kids are competitors, they're winners, and they're warriors. And they can do that to you once in a while. They don't have the talent to maintain it consistently, but on one given day, and I don't think we played terribly bad except for the defense we had at third base that day. And, we went up against good pitchers, and we just came up a little bit short. The first game of the season, I thought we could have blown them out. We just left too many runners on base and left the bases loaded 4 times. And, if we didn't have to use so many guys out of our bullpen, we would have had a stronger bullpen than the next day and perhaps would have been able to still hold on and win that game. But the last 2 games have been really uplifting.
Yep.
The Louisiana Tech game, we fell behind 5-1. On the heels of that disappointing loss to Air Force, we could have hung our heads and got our daubers down, but the kids battled like crazy, and the bats came alive. And Javen Coleman gave us a big spark out of the bullpen, the left-handed pitcher from Texas. And I thought it was a wonderful victory on Monday night. We banged out a bunch of hits and hit some home runs. Gavin Dugas' grand slam was huge. And then we went over to UL last night, and listen, that was a very hot team, a very confident team. They won 2 out of 3 over at Tulane, including 2 extra inning games. And then they beat Louisiana Tech, who we knew could really hit. They beat them 2-0. shut them out. And I thought last night we played a pretty complete game, and total team victory. Both of these last two games were total team victories, and I'm really getting encouraged about our team.
Coach, I know we'll talk about a lot of players here today, but I want to talk about two young guys from Southern California, Jordan Thompson and Zach Arnold. They look to have some juice when they're in there. Like, they give you something a little bit extra, and especially like Jordan Thompson last night. Like, I hate to like tag a guy Charlie Hustle, but I mean that in a positive way. It just looks like he is everywhere and plays at a very high speed with a lot of energy.
Oh, Jordan loves the game, and he loves to play. He works hard, and you're right. He ran the bases hard. Jordan loves the game. I said that 3 times already, but I don't know how else to describe him. He just gets after it. He works very hard. Sometimes, he gets a little frustrated, as I do, because his defense is a little bit inconsistent. That's what kept him out of the starting lineup on opening day. I did this great experiment with this pitcher, Will Helmers, and nothing's blown up in my face quite as poorly as that one did. But, this is how you find these things out.
Right.
I really thought Will could do it. And, in retrospect, it was unfair to him, and it was my fault to throw him into something like that he had really not had experience of playing third base since last summer. It always happens. If I would have told you in a 2-game series, all the action's in the middle of the diamond, right?
Yeah.
In 2 games, we had 1 ball hit to the shortstop, 3 balls hit to the second baseman, 11 balls hit to the third baseman. Okay, doesn't it always work that way, right? So anyway, it was a short experiment with Will. We got him back on the mound last night. He pitched terrifically, and we're going to need him there. And I think Jordan now has earned the job. He waited his turn, and he's played well since he's been in there for a couple of days. I think he's going to make some errors during the course of the year, but I think he's also going to do a lot of great things. And, as long as the scale is tipping in favor of doing much more good than bad, then we're going to be able to live with that.
Well, and just expound on Helmers just for a minute here, Coach, because me and Jake talked about it. It had been real easy for an 18-year-old who was thrust into that kind of odd situation to start his career, ends up struggling, opening weekend, big stage. It would have been real easy for that to kind of spiral out of control mentally, and yet he comes back and really just dominates yesterday on the mound and immediately washes all that bad taste out of his mouth. Like, did you learn something about Helmer's mental toughness last night?
Well, I already knew he had it, T-Bob, and that's why I had such faith that he could do it at third base. But I wanted to get him back on the horse as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
He probably hadn't even had enough preparation for pitching, but I just didn't want that experience of playing third base to linger in his mind and feel like he let the team down. So I wanted to get him on the mound right away and let him feel like he was a contributing member to the team. But no need to worry about him. I don't know if you heard the story, but I came in from the game on Monday night after talking to the media, and I had missed a FaceTime call from Alex Bregman. He actually texted me instead and asked me for Will Helmer's number, and he wanted to call Will, and just to let Will know that he'd had his bad moments at LSU as well, and they only make you tougher and more determined to succeed, and that he was a winner and that he would bounce back. Isn't that wonderful that a former player would be watching the game, number one, and then number two, want to reach out to one of our players and encourage him that way? And I told Alex even that night that listen, it's not necessary, but I'm sure he'd appreciate it, and we'll never forget that you did that for him.
Yeah, I mean, especially, right, like with what Alex Bregman has gone on to become, that's incredible for Will. Also, great on Alex Bregman, talking to LSU head baseball coach Paul Mainieri here on Off the Bench. And, Coach, you know what I love is when a guy enters with unreal expectation and then somehow, instead of wilting under that burden, blows out that expectation. And I would say that's exactly what Dylan Cruz this week. And I think his on-base percentage by weekend's end was right there at like a 690. How about it? Dylan Cruz just dominant out the gate.
Yeah, well, you're right. A lot of guys, they don't handle it as well. And not necessarily because they didn't. I shouldn't have said it that way. No, it's not that they don't handle it well. Sometimes the breaks don't go well for them or whatever. Hey, I remember Daniel Cabrera, who turned out to be a great player, and we knew he was going to be. his opening weekend, he went 0 for 9 against Notre Dame a couple years back.
That's right.
He faced all left-handed pitching, and they were just frustrating him unbelievably. I don't think they threw a pitcher throwing 80 miles an hour, and that's not what you want to face your first games in college baseball. But Dylan is just right from the first at bat, he went in there and he was having good at bats and hit the ball hard. In fact, last night he absolutely tattooed a ball. Their shortstop made an unbelievable stop on a ball. He should have had a 2-run single, and instead, they were able to get the force out at second. They threw the ball away at first. But you can get a hit for that, or his on-base percentages, batting average, RBIs, everything would have even been higher. But Dylan's going to be a great player for us. And hey, how about the 2 pinch hits by Brody Drost?
Yeah, we talked. I mean, but you have a good problem, right? How do you even find him more at bats?
Yeah, well, Brody is this guy could be the next Greg Deichmann for us. I've said that from the get-go, but we're going to have to find him at bats. There's no question about that. Now, this weekend we're facing 3 left-handed starting pitchers, so I'm going to have to decide how we're going to do this. But I'm just waiting to go into the office here, and I'll huddle up with the staff, and we'll talk about it and try to experiment with some things. With Giovanni out, it opens up the door a little bit. Not that Mitchell Sanford or Brody Drost are pure center fielders. We could potentially move Cruz to center and put Drost in at right, or we could just try Drost in center. He played center in high school, though he didn't have the great foot speed. But Mitchell Sanford's done a really good job since he's been here. And he got his opportunity only because Will Safford, who was going to play center field against Louisiana Tech, got hurt in pregame activity. Yeah. And Will's ready to go now. So it's a good problem for a coach to have. But, what Brody Drost did last night was special. I mean, that's big stuff. Yeah, that ball he hit was like a rocket. It got out of the park in a hurry.
Hey, Coach, last one for me. I don't want to go away today without talking about Garrett Edwards. I thought he was fantastic last night. True freshman, of course, from Pitkin, Louisiana. And this guy looked like anything but a true freshman. It looked like he had command of his stuff last night. I thought that performance was big time, considering that was really his first time to start a game, to be on the bump in that situation against UL Lafayette.
Oh, he was fantastic, Jacob, and I knew he would be. He and Will Helmers have impressed us so much from the day they've walked on this campus, just their poise and their composure and ability to throw strikes, mix 3 pitches. No stage is too big for either one of those kids, and they're going to help us a lot. And as is Javen Coleman. Javen's got a little bit more maturing to do than those other 2 kids. But being left-handed, maybe that might have something to do with it. You never know. Those lefties they get on that mound, man. They can be crazy, and they throw strikes, and the hat's on sideways, and I mean, you got to love them. But Javen can he's got a big future ahead of him with us too, and so Blake Money and you got Ty Floyd. I'm really excited about that whole crop of freshman pitchers that we have, and I think they're all going to help us a lot this year.
Coach Paul Mainieri, head coach of your LSU Tigers, off to a great 3-1 start. Like we said, very exciting times in terms of the young players. Last couple of games been great. Youngstown State this weekend started Friday night in the box. By the way, Coach, we were in the box last week, and he kicked things off. First sporting events at the national championship. It was so much fun. Watching Jaden Hill throw 98 miles an hour is a visual treat. So thank you.
He probably
for that.
heard you, T-Bob. He probably heard you.
It can be. You can hear everybody in there right now. It's a bit different, but it's awesome. Get out to the box if you can. Coach, thank you so much for this morning.
Okay, guys. Good to be with you.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. Okay, wrap it up.
And I mean that in a good way. Like, you were cheering throughout the game.
I'm not going to be self-conscious.
I know they heard Musso.
Yeah, they definitely heard Musso. I mean, I heard multiple people laugh at Musso's jokes.
There's been times they've heard Musso and the stadium's full. So.
That is also true. All right, when we get back here to we'll wrap up hour number 2. Stay right.